So I gotta tell you guys, some of the best things that I've seen so far is the absolute fallout of all these woke ads, all of these woke commercials, all this stuff that people are doing to try to make them seem progressive. I love seeing the fallout. It is absolutely amazing to witness. And now we have another example coming to us courtesy from Disney. Thank God. It says the Walt Disney Company shareholders, finally they did something, sues the Walt Disney Company, former CEO Bob Chapek, current CFO Christine McCarthy, and former DMED executive Kareem McDaniel. The shareholders of Disney are suing Walt Disney, and I love it. I love to see it because it needs to happen. They're throwing your money away. They're throwing it all to diversity, equity, and inclusion. You're seeing the stock price go down more and more as they do dumb stuff like this. You're seeing boycotts left and right happening, and all the shareholders are quiet. Why are you quiet? And I'm finally happy to see that they are no longer silent. So we're going to get into this article, guys. But of course, before we do, just consider giving this video a like so you can push us out into the YouTube algorithm, and consider subscribing because we're trying to get to 18,000 subscribers before the end of the month. It says a new lawsuit was filed in the United States Central District Court by California by Local 272 Labor Management Pension Fund against the Walt Disney Company former CEO Bob Chapek, current CFO Christine McCarthy, and former chairman of the Disney Media and Entertainment Division Kareem Daniel. It says the lawsuit alleges the defendants were involved in drafting, producing, reviewing, and/or disseminating the false and misleading statements and information alleged herein, and were aware of or recklessly disregarded the false and misleading statements being issued regarding the company, and approved or ratified these statements in violation of federal security laws. It goes on to specifically accuse the defendants of being provided with copies of the documents alleged herein to be false and misleading before or shortly after their issuance, participated in conference calls with investors during which false and misleading statements were made, and the ability and opportunity to prevent their insurance or cause them to be corrected. Accordingly, each individual defendant is responsible for the accuracy of public statements detailed therein and is therefore primarily liable for the representations contained therein. Now, that's a lot of legal talk to basically say that those people really effed up. They effed up to the point where they were essentially caught lying about certain factors about the company on shareholders' business calls. Whenever they do those shareholder calls, you have to basically showcase what's going on in the company, where you're at, what your plans are to increase the profit and revenue, and what your goals are, what your plans are as a whole, right? That's the whole point of those phone calls. They were essentially caught lying on those phone calls and more. They were essentially caught lying in their statements in terms of where the company was at, what it was producing monetarily. I'm sure they were caught lying as a whole in everything. It says the suit specifically charges the Walt Disney Company with the other defendants of materially false and misleading statements and omissions issued during the class period that began on December 10th, 2020. That's essentially when they decided to go woke, I believe. It goes on to allege that the defendants acted with scienter in the defendants knew or recklessly discarded that the public documents and statements they issued and disseminated to the investing public in the name of the company or in their own name during the class period were materially false and misleading. So investors essentially were sold a pipe dream. That's basically what they're trying to say. They were sold a pipe dream and they realized that they were lied to. And now since they were lied to, now they're trying to sue the company to get their money back or more or whatever the case may be because they know they were lied to. And this is what we've been saying all the time. How are they getting all this money to do all this woke nonsense and losing money left and right? And the shareholders are just okay with it? Like everybody's just fine? Like I'm glad that they finally came out and said something, or better yet, sued them, which should happen more often. This company should be sued into fucking oblivion. That's what should happen with Disney. Then it says defendants knowingly and substantially participated or acquiesced in the issuance of dissemination of such statements and documents as primary violations of the federal security laws. It asserts defendants, by virtue of their receipt of information reflecting the true facts regarding Disney and their control over and/or receipt and/or modification of Disney's materially false and misleading statements, were active and culpable participants in the fraudulent scheme alleged herein. It goes on to summarize, in short, defendants' fraudulent cost-shifting scheme was designed and overseen by defendants Chapek and Daniel and permitted and furthered by defendant McCarthy, each of whom is liable as a result of the inherently deceptive nature of this scheme. So they were all part of just lying about their numbers, basically. They were all lying about their numbers to try to get the shareholders to continue to invest more money into Disney, to hide the fact that they decided to get woke and went broke, and by doing so, now they're getting sued for it. It's an amazing thing to see, and we need to see more of it. I want to see Disney sued into fucking hell, honestly. I really do, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. It goes on to allege that the Walt Disney Company, Chapek, Daniels, and McCarthy violated Section 10B of the Exchange Act and Section Rule 10B-5, explaining that they employed devices, schemes, and artifices to defraud, made untrue statements of material fact or omitted to state material facts necessary in order to make the statements made in light of the circumstances under which they were made, not misleading or engaged in acts, practices, and of course of business that operated as a fraud or deceit upon plaintiff and others similarly situated in connection with their purchases of Disney common stock during the class period. Now, here's the big thing about this lawsuit, okay? All of this has to do with Disney Plus. Disney Plus was their go-to, and they purposely lied about the numbers of Disney Plus. They try to make it seem like it was the most successful thing ever. And now that the numbers have come out that they've lost 4 million subscribers, that's not even including the initial couple of million that they lost prior. They're losing tons and tons of money. And the shareholders have finally caught on the fact that there's no way you can lose millions upon millions of subscribers like this unless you were specifically hiding what was going on to these people. And even worse, these shareholders should have seen what was happening because Disney was very public with all of their nonsense. It says, as far as the specifics of the fraudulent scheme, the suit states that during the class period, defendants repeatedly misled investors about the success of Disney Plus platform by concealing the true cost of the platform, concealing the expense and difficulty of maintaining robust Disney Plus subscriber growth, and claiming that the platform was on track to achieve profitability and 230 to 260 million paid global subscribers by the end of fiscal year 2024. Yeah, well, we know that's not happening anymore. It goes on to assert in truth, during the class period, Disney Plus was never on track to achieve the 2024 profitability, and subscriber figures provided to investors in such estimates lacked a reasonable basis in fact. To conceal these adverse facts, defendants engaged in the fraudulent scheme designed to hide the extent of Disney Plus losses and to make the growth trajectory of Disney Plus subscribers appear sustainable, and 2024 Disney Plus targets appear achievable when they were not. Specifically, defendants used a newly created DMED to inappropriately shift costs out of Disney Plus platform and onto legacy platforms. So they were essentially moving money around. And that's like one of the biggest, oldest cons that you could do when you're doing something like this. They move money around to make one platform look worse and another platform look better. And of course, since all their money was tied into Disney Plus, they were doing everything they could to try to make Disney Plus look the best out of everything. So they were moving money around to lower the cost of Disney Plus, even though the truth was that Disney Plus was probably the highest cost in terms of a streaming platform for all of them. It alleges as part of a scheme to make Disney Plus's financial performance appear more successful than it was, defendants aired certain shows that were supposed to be Disney Plus originals, such as the mystery show The Mysterious Benedict Society and the medical drama Doogie Kamealoha MD, first on legacy television networks such as the Disney Channel. By doing so, a significant portion of the marketing production costs of the shows were shifted away from Disney Plus and onto the legacy platform. So they're basically looking for compensation according to what it says next. The suit is seeking compensatory damages in favor of plaintiff and the other class members against all defendants jointly and severally for all damages sustained as a result of the defendant's wrongdoing in an amount to be proven at trial, including interest thereon, awarding plaintiff and class their reasonable costs and expenses incurred in this action. So Disney as a whole is screwed, man. I know Bob Chapek is a former CEO, but it doesn't matter. He was a CEO when all this was going down, so Disney's going to have to pay up at some point in time. And I know Disney's got the money for it. I'm sure they got amazing lawyers, but at the end of the day, I think they're going to win this case. I 100% think that the class action lawsuit is going to win, and they're gonna have to pay up. And I just hope that it's a lot of money because I love seeing Disney lose more and more money. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it. And if you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.